Feng Xiaoqiao is a cursed girl. Whenever she plays the piano, unfortunate events occur. This time, she doesn't give up. She wants to try playing again. As a result, not only does a strange man unexpectedly appear, but the window glass also shatters into pieces and attacks her. What fate awaits Feng Xiaoqiao next? Legend has it that there's a creation piano in the universe. The death and angels, eager to possess its power, damage the piano in their endless struggle. The broken piano keys scattered across the universe, disappearing without a trace. On this day, the school is holding a selection for the top male idol. Her friend in Manhwa wants to ask Feng Xiaoqiao for help to take a photo of Mike. And Manhwa plans to secretly help him debut as the top idol. For 50 yuan, Feng Xiaoqiao reluctantly agrees. She arrives at the music classroom. With a "since I'm here" attitude, she peeks inside. Mike is indeed here. As a music talent student, he's playing the piano. Feng Xiaoqiao wipes away the drool that flowed from being too engrossed in listening. She raises her camera to take a photo. Due to carelessness, she forgot to turn off the camera sound. This causes Mike to hear the shutter sound and stop his piano practice. Feng Xiaoqiao inwardly cries out in dismay. She's been discovered. This is bad. Mike sees Feng Xiaoqiao hiding by the door and asks if she wants to play the piano. Feng Xiaoqiao thanks him for his kindness, but says she hates music. Mike gets very angry because it's impossible for anyone in this world to hate music. Feng Xiaoqiao doesn't investigate the reason for his anger. She just wants to leave quickly, to the point where she doesn't even hear clearly what Mike is saying. Leaving the music classroom, Feng Xiaoqiao checks her photo album. She sends Mike's photo to An Mingyuan. Her task is complete. At this moment, Mike's beautiful piano melody comes through. Feng Xiaoqiao thinks dejectedly that if only she could play such a melody. But that's impossible. She clenches her fist. Because her piano sound only brings misfortune. But it's been so long since she played. Just one note should be fine, right? After school, when Mike has left, Feng Xiaoqiao climbs through the window into the music classroom. Looking at the piano keys before her, she keeps muttering just one note. She covers one ear with her hand and presses a piano key with the other. Mike, about to leave school, hears a piano note. He immediately rushes to the music classroom, praying she won't play again. Applause comes from the music classroom. Feng Xiaoqiao immediately turns to look at the source of the clapping. It's a man whose face she can't see clearly. The man was clapping involuntarily. He asks Feng Xiaoqiao to continue playing. Feng Xiaoqiao thinks the man is strange. She prepares to leave, but her hand accidentally touches the piano keys. A red light flashes on the man's ears, and black mist appears around his body. Suddenly, cracks appear on the music classroom window. Then the glass shatters. The fragments rush towards Feng Xiaoqiao. Frightened, she quickly covers her ears, crying. She didn't expect the curse to come again. Why does this happen every time she plays the piano? In this critical moment, the man shields Feng Xiaoqiao in his arms, protecting her from the glass shards. Blood drips onto the piano keys in front of Feng Xiaoqiao. Still trembling, she's concerned about the man's facial injuries. But the man comforts her instead. "Don't worry," he says. "It's not her fault, but the piano that's broken." Feng Xiaoqiao is confused. How could the piano be broken? The man has already reached out, gently removing the glass fragments from her hair. Feng Xiaoqiao suddenly remembers she should clean up the glass shards on the floor. But the man grabs her hand, telling her to be careful. If her hands get hurt, she won't be able to play the piano. Feng Xiaoqiao's body stiffens. She inwardly complains that the man is taking advantage of his good looks to casually grab a girl's hand. She wants him to let go, but she notices the injuries on the man's face from protecting her. She stops glaring at him and lowers her head, saying she'll go to the infirmary to get medicine for him. Mike, who ran back to the school building, looks up and sees the man standing by the window. He calls the man Death. Death also recognizes Mike's identity as an angel. Mike didn't expect Death to come here so quickly. But before he can finish speaking, Death leaps down from the window and stands in front of Mike. He tells Mike that Feng Xiaoqiao is already his and tells him to get lost. Mike questions Death, asking if he wants to harm Feng Xiaoqiao. Death warns him that obtaining Feng Xiaoqiao means obtaining the creation piano. If Mike takes one more step forward, he'll kill him. Mike doesn't back down. The creation piano belongs only to those who can play it. Huge, pure white feathers unfurl behind his back. Feng Xiaoqiao, just recovering from the shock, belatedly realizes that after school hours, the infirmary is closed. A voice comes from behind, repeatedly saying, "Found you." Feng Xiaoqiao recognizes it as her good friend and Meng Yuan. She quickly runs over to ask if he's looking for her. As she gets closer, Feng Xiaoqiao notices something glowing on Meng Yuan's chest. She's very concerned about her friend's condition. The light on Meng Yuan's chest expands, and his eyes look different. He reaches out towards Feng Xiaoqiao, once again repeating, "Found you." Before Feng Xiaoqiao can react to the strangeness, and Meng Yuan has already cupped her face with both hands, gradually leaning closer. She quickly shouts no, and pushes Meng Yuan away. The two outside hear the commotion. Death didn't expect the piano key to appear so quickly. He immediately runs towards the school building. Mike tells him to wait. They should talk before seeing the piano key. As he speaks, Mike's hand touches Death's shoulder. Death's expression darkens. He asks Mike if this is their first encounter, that he dares to touch Death. He immediately sends Mike flying with one move. Mike complains, asking if all Deaths are this temperamental. Death doesn't want to talk more. He uses black thorns to tie Mike to a tree, saying he'll deal with him later. In the corridor, Feng Xiaoqiao is running away, with Meng Yuan in hot pursuit. Death suddenly opens the main door of the school building. At this moment, Feng Xiaoqiao, who is going down the stairs, misses a step and is about to fall. Death summons black thorns, using them to quickly arrive at Feng Xiaoqiao's side. He directly embraces the falling Feng Xiaoqiao. After settling her, Death turns back and tells Meng Yuan to stop, saying he's scared Feng Xiaoqiao. And Meng Yuan obediently steps back. Death tells Feng Xiaoqiao not to be afraid. He knows she finds all this unbelievable right now. He explains that Meng Yuan is like this because he's attracted to something on her. Feng Xiaoqiao doesn't understand what he's saying, but she notices Death's strange hand. Death teaches her how to retrieve the piano key. This way, Meng Yuan will return to normal. But Feng Xiaoqiao doesn't know whether she should trust the person in front of her. Death tells her to trust him. Otherwise, if the piano key goes out of control, Meng Yuan will never return to normal. Feng Xiaoqiao wants to give it a try, since there's no other option. She warns Death, hoping he's not deceiving her. Feng Xiaoqiao cups Meng Yuan's face and says, "Come back, my piano key." Light flies out from Meng Yuan's chest, and she falls backward like a rag doll. Death catches her and comforts Feng Xiaoqiao, who is concerned about her friend. In the light from Meng Yuan's chest, a small figure gradually appears. The small figure's eyes look towards Feng Xiaoqiao, then happily pounces towards her, shouting, "Found you." Feng Xiaoqiao finds it amazing. The small figure that came out of her friend's body is glowing and very cute. Death adjusts his hand, and just as the small figure is about to touch Feng Xiaoqiao's forehead, he reaches out and presses the small figure into her forehead. A wonderful piano sound rings out. Many people on the street hear the unidentified piano sound. A figure suddenly appears beside the tied-up Mike, complaining that it's all Mike's fault for letting Death gain the upper hand. The Lolita-dressed angel tells the music angel Mike that one can't be so pathetic as a person. One must be a bit tougher. As she speaks, she draws out her knife. Seeing this, Mike's eyes widen. But the angel only helps him cut through the thorns. He calls out the angel's name, Laco, explaining that he heard Feng Xiaoqiao's piano sound was strange. But when he rushed over, Death was already there. The piano key in Meng Yuan's body suddenly awakened, causing Death to snatch the key. Laco asks who was responsible for watching over Meng Yuan, and who encouraged Feng Xiaoqiao to play the piano. Mike sheepishly admits it was all him. Death can't sense dormant piano keys. Now Mike has completely messed up the Angels' plan. Originally, the Angels had found most of the piano keys. They were waiting for these life forms possessed by the keys to die naturally, so they could quietly retrieve them. But now, Mike has brought out a girl who can help Death. Things have become tricky. Mike quickly defends himself, saying he was about to talk to Death about working together to restore the creation piano, although Death didn't listen to him. Laco is very angry. She punches Mike, calling him a disgrace to Angels. Because deaths are all ruthless, they stole the angel's creation piano. They killed the angel's creator. How could they possibly talk to Mike? Now that the piano key has been snatched, all the other angels have sensed it. But everyone still needs to guard the other keys. So they arrange for Mike to monitor Feng Xiaoqiao and Death, investigate what's going on, and prevent Feng Xiaoqiao from playing the piano again. Mike is a music angel. This should be a simple task. Before leaving, Lako reminds Mike to remember that the creator is like their parent. Killing one's parents is unforgivable. Angels and deaths are eternal enemies. When Feng Xiaoqiao opens her eyes, she's shocked by the miraculous scene before her. She recalls seeing a fragmented starry sky before, and a dark figure. Thinking of this, her eyes suddenly widen, because she remembers that the figure looked exactly like Death. The figure was asking if she couldn't walk and needed help. Feng Xiaoqiao urgently wants to know who Death is, but her head hurts badly. After seeing that the wounds on Death's face have completely healed, she directly faints. Death embraces the unconscious Feng Xiaoqiao. Mike appears at this time. He states his identity and expresses his desire to join them. However, Death's reaction is cold. Mike mentions that the angels have already found most of the piano keys. Cooperation could quickly restore the creation piano. He invites Death to play together with the angels. Death finds it laughable. He says he will soon possess all the piano keys. There's no reason to cooperate with the angels. He summons thorns to attack Mike. Mike shouts that without the musical score, Death can't play him, and the creation piano can't exert its power. He says he can write a score that anyone can play. This statement makes Death's eyes widen. He asks if anyone includes Feng Xiaoqiao. Mike confirms. Death asks again. He asks if the score he writes can be played by Feng Xiaoqiao. Mike senses that Death wants Feng Xiaoqiao to play the creation piano. Death relents and tells him to come down. They need to talk properly. The melodious alarm clock rings in the morning. Feng Xiaoqiao reaches out to turn off the phone screen. He wonders if yesterday's events were a dream. After sitting up, he realizes he fell asleep in his school uniform again. He rubs his eyes and looks at the photo on the table nearby. He says good morning to his parents in the photo. At school, and Manhwa runs up from behind to greet him. Feng Xiaoqiao turns around, wanting to tell his friend about last night's dream, but Manhwa pulls him to look at Mike's vote count. He's already in third place after just half a day. Seeing in Manhwa's infatuated expression, Feng Xiaoqiao teases him to be mindful of his image. Passing by the music classroom building, Feng Xiaoqiao looks up. The windows are intact. He thinks it must have been a dream after all. And Manhwa asks who he's going to vote for. Feng Xiaoqiao reluctantly says he'll vote for Mike. In the classroom, teacher Ding introduces a new transfer student, Tao De. The girls in the class are captivated by his appearance. Only Feng Xiaoqiao's eyes widen. This is the Death from last night. Tao De points to an empty seat, saying he wants to sit there. That seat is behind Feng Xiaoqiao. Feng Xiaoqiao begins to suspect that last night's dream might have been real. However, teacher Ding doesn't agree. Since Tao De is tall, she tells him to sit next to the student sleeping in the back. Tao De quietly clicks his tongue in dissatisfaction, while Feng Xiaoqiao breathes a sigh of relief. As Tao De passes by Feng Xiaoqiao becomes very nervous, his heart racing. But Tao De only touches his desk as he walks to the back. A classmate wakes up the sleeping person. It's Mike. When Mike opens his eyes and sees the displeased Tao De, he shouts death. This causes the class to laugh. Mike lies, claiming he had a nightmare. Tao De introduces himself to Mike. They shake hands. Tao De smiles and says he'll be troubling Mike to take care of him from now on. Seeing this, and Manhwa gets excited. His Fujoshi soul burns brightly. Feng Xiaoqiao tells him not to get too excited, as he feels Tao De is a dangerous weirdo. During break, Feng Xiaoqiao searches for Death on his phone, but only finds comics. He remembers Mike's reaction upon seeing Tao De and decides to ask Mike about it. He also recalls Tao De's hand from last night. Suddenly, a figure appears in front of him. The person asks what he's looking at. Feng Xiaoqiao looks up. It's Tao De. Just as Feng Xiaoqiao is about to say something, Tao De speaks first. He has something to ask him. He kneels on one knee, his gaze level with Feng Xiaoqiao's, and asks if he's afraid of him. Feng Xiaoqiao voices his doubts, asking if he is Death. Tao De doesn't answer. To Feng Xiaoqiao, not denying is as good as admitting. He asks his second question, is he here to kill him? Tao De answers this question. He says it was Feng Xiaoqiao's piano sound that summoned him. What he wants is in his piano sound. After he gets it, he'll leave. However, Feng Xiaoqiao still stares at him suspiciously. Tao De says if he dislikes him, he should keep playing the piano. That way, he'll disappear sooner. Feng Xiaoqiao ponders the truthfulness of his words. Tao has already stood up and warns him to be careful of Mike as well. Tao's phone suddenly rings. Feng Xiaoqiao plans to use this opportunity to quickly slip away. On the other end of the phone, someone asks if he has appeared. Tao admits it, but then says that his presence alone is enough here. He doesn't want the other person to interfere. After returning to the classroom, Feng Xiaoqiao asks in Manhwa where Mike went. He's told that Mike went to the infirmary. Feng Xiaoqiao quickly runs to the infirmary. In the infirmary, Mike is applying medicine to his back. Feng Xiaoqiao suddenly pushes the door open. Startled, Mike quickly covers his body with his clothes, explaining that the teacher isn't here and he's just getting some free wound medicine. Feng Xiaoqiao knows the teacher isn't there, which suits him fine. He closes the door and walks towards Mike. Mike hugs his clothes and asks what he's going to do. Feng Xiaoqiao puts his hand next to Mike and asks about his relationship with Tao. Mike is silent for a moment, then chooses to say, Fei, Fei, as his answer. This makes Feng Xiaoqiao realize he knows Tao. He presses for what exactly happened. As it happens, Mike also wants to tell him everything. However, before that, he needs Feng Xiaoqiao to step back. He coughs lightly, saying he hopes it won't frighten him. Feng Xiaoqiao is very confident. After last night's events, he thinks nothing can scare him. But the next moment his eyes widen. A pair of huge wings appear behind Mike. He can hardly believe Mike is an angel. Mike admits he's a music angel and tells him about the creation piano. The creation piano can create many things, but it later shattered. Without his melody, the universe would stop turning. And Feng Xiaoqiao's body contains the power to summon the piano keys. Feng Xiaoqiao's legs suddenly go weak. He falls to his knees. He never imagined that even Mike wasn't a normal person. Mike apologizes for frightening him, but says he needs his power to find the piano keys and repair the creation piano. Outside the window, a drone is pointed directly at the infirmary. In the student council room, a boy watches Mike's silhouette in silence. After hearing Mike's words, Feng Xiaoqiao doesn't want to get involved. He just wants to return to class and study. However, as soon as he opens the door, he comes face to face with someone. Without looking up, he knows it's Tao. Death in front and angel behind. Caught between a rock and a hard place, Feng Xiaoqiao can't help but wonder if he's about to die. The two in the infirmary suddenly fall silent. Tao greets Feng Xiaoqiao. He suddenly notices something and summons thorns. Mike thinks the thorns are aimed at him and panics. He instinctively covers his head, but the thorns pass through him and hit the drone outside. Tao calls Mike an idiot for not noticing someone spying on him. Feng Xiaoqiao seizes the opportunity to slip away again. While Mike wonders who would spy on him, Tao thinks he's only scaring Feng Xiaoqiao away. He calms himself down. He asks Mike if he told Feng Xiaoqiao everything and receives an affirmative answer. Tao tells him to find Feng Xiaoqiao next time to play the piano and summon the keys. He himself will go find the drone's owner. In the music classroom, Feng Xiaoqiao trembles in fear. He rambles incoherently, trying to explain. Mike tells him not to be afraid. He hasn't heard about any glass breaking and wants him to play now. Feng Xiaoqiao sits at the piano. Mike reassures him to play freely, saying that as a music angel, he has everything music-related under control. Once they quickly collect all the piano keys, the Grim Reaper will leave. They should work hard together. Feng Xiaoqiao feels encouraged. He wants to work hard with Mike. He starts playing the piano. At this moment, Tao is checking the computer of the boy who took the photos. The boy begs Tao to spare him. He says it wasn't intentional. He was just afraid Mike's votes would surpass his. He pleads with Tao not to kill him. After copying the photos to a USB drive, Tao destroys the computer with thorns. He won't kill the boy who took the photos. He's quite picky after all. He sighs, not very willing to do what comes next. He wipes the boy's forehead with a cloth, then leans towards his forehead. The boy's eyes lose their light. Tao's thorns surround the boy. Feng Xiaoqiao, having played the piano, realizes nothing bad happened. He can't help but praise Mike's abilities. Mike's phone suddenly rings. He needs to go aside to reply to a message. He tells Feng Xiaoqiao to keep playing. In the Angels chat group, other angels are reporting. The piano keys they were monitoring started glowing. Suddenly, over a dozen keys awakened. But Mike doesn't know what's going on either. Although he knew yesterday that his piano sound would awaken the keys, he didn't expect it to be this powerful. Feng Xiaoqiao's piano sound traveled very far. The angels realize something big has happened. The curious angel Chris thinks it's because of Mike. His presence next to Feng Xiaoqiao amplified the effect of the piano playing. The love angel thinks they should ask Mike. If it's true, they should bring Mike back. The order angel Walt reminds them to be careful of other Grim Reapers. As the luck angel, Laco asks who will go with him. If this continues, all the piano keys will be taken by the Grim Reapers. Feng Xiaoqiao, sitting on the subway, can't understand why Mike rushed in earlier telling him to stop playing. He happens to turn his head and sees Tao De reading a book nearby. Feng Xiaoqiao is stunned by Tao De's good looks, but he immediately slaps his forehead and prepares to stand farther away. He thinks it's better to keep his distance. However, Tao De actively grabs his backpack strap, telling him not to go too far. Feng Xiaoqiao blushes, feeling somewhat flustered. Tao De makes a gesture to be quiet and whispers that the piano key has arrived. Following Tao De's direction, Feng Xiaoqiao sees a hooded man. Looking closely at his eyes, they're exactly the same as in Ming Yuan's. Feng Xiaoqiao asks if he needs to say that embarrassing phrase here. Tao De says it's not necessary for now, because he senses angels nearby. This should be bait they've set out. While enduring Tao De's closeness, Feng Xiaoqiao asks if there are other angels. Tao De leans close to his ear, telling him what other angels are like, emphasizing the killing angel. His nature is only to kill. He will kill either Tao De or Feng Xiaoqiao while collecting the piano keys. The subway has reached the terminal station. Duomonin and they all get off at this stop. Tao De holds Feng Xiaoqiao's hand, reminding him not to run off. Feng Xiaoqiao silently grumbles that he doesn't dare to run anyway. Moreover, he's very dissatisfied with Tao De holding his hand without permission. However, as the two prepare to leave the subway, someone boldly walks in from outside. The subway doors close behind them. The eyes of these three people are all glowing. They are clearly all piano keys. They say the same thing that they've found the two. An eerie laugh comes from behind. They say they want to take a last photo of Tao De. The photo will be called Death of a Grim Reaper by the killing angel G. Tao De must wear the red starbone gloves to catch the piano keys. That would be the best opportunity for Gil. But Tao De glances at Gil, showing a disdainful smile. Before Gil can react, Tao De wraps him in thorns, keeping Gil out. Now is when Feng Xiaoqiao can say that embarrassing phrase. He shouts loudly, "Come back, my piano keys." The piano keys fly out from these people's bodies. This time, for Keys' escape. Wearing the gloves, he grabs the keys in one go. Feng Xiaoqiao consciously brushes up his hair. Next, the keys need to be inserted into his forehead. However, Tao De isn't as forceful this time. He turns the glove inside out, forming a glove pocket, and tells Feng Xiaoqiao to take them and run quickly. Feng Xiaoqiao notices the silhouette of thorns appearing behind him. Tao De reassures him that he'll be fine. Feng Xiaoqiao retorts that he wasn't worried about him. He was only worried about himself. He quickly runs out of the subway doors. As soon as they close, all of Tao De's thorns break. He then complains that his thorns are hard, but he broke them all himself. At this moment, Gil realizes that Tao De actually let Feng Xiaoqiao escape with the keys. He turns to look at Tao De and says, "You didn't die last time, huh?" Tao De responds that Feng Xiaoqiao saved him last time. Feng Xiaoqiao runs with the keys. He remembers the killing angel mentioned earlier. He also thinks of Mike, mentioning the power to summon keys within him. He looks at the nearby river, feeling an urge to throw the keys away. While apologizing to the keys, he raises his hand. He can't help anyone. Suddenly, a voice behind him says impressive. Mike appears, grabbing his hand. The keys can pass through all worldly matter. Only this glove can catch them. If trapped in the glove and thrown away, they might never be found again. The creation piano couldn't be restored. Feng Xiaoqiao doesn't want to hear more. What does this have to do with him? They randomly told him a story, asking him to do this and that, not giving him the right to refuse. Why should he help them? He hasn't gained any benefits and might face danger, so he has no reason to help them. Mike thinks he has a point, but asks him not to throw away the keys. He tells him to listen to the sound the keys make inside the glove. It's a comforting sound. Feng Xiaoqiao puts the glove close to his ear. There really is a piano sound inside, as if comforting him. Feng Xiaoqiao thinks it's cute, but a bit ugly. Mike suggests finding a secluded place to put them inside his body. In a private spot, Feng Xiaoqiao hands the glove to Mike. It's Mike's first time doing this too. The glove changes color in his hand. He comforts the keys, praising them for being good. But since it's his first time, Mike's hand is shaking a bit. Feng Xiaoqiao reassures him not to be afraid. The keys are finally pressed against his forehead. Mike asks how it feels. He replies that it's warm. Meanwhile, many angels hear the sound of the keys. And it's not just the sound of one key. Laco suggests going to where the keys are sounding. Perhaps Mike, who's hiding his whereabouts, is there too. The scenery before Feng Xiaoqiao changes again. He sees that black figure once more. It's Tao Da with blood on his face. Tao Da asks if he can't walk anymore and offers to help. Feng Xiaoqiao behind him shakes his head. He cries, wanting to go with his mom and dad. Tao Da tells him they're already dead. If he doesn't leave, he'll die here too. Feng Xiaoqiao insists on wanting his parents. With no other choice, Tao Da picks him up, but he's still struggling. Due to his excessive movement, his hand hits Tao Da's wound. Tao Da grabs his little hand, telling him he won't let him die. They'll survive together. Then he leaves a devout kiss on his hand. They'll be together forever. Feng Xiaoqiao realizes that it was Tao Da who brought him out of the snow. He saved him, yet he left his savior there. He can't be in trouble. Thinking this, he immediately wants to run away. Mike grabs him, asking where he's going. He instinctively says Tao Da's name. Mike reminds him it's dangerous to go now. But Feng Xiaoqiao wonders if Mike, being an angel, might be in league with the killing angels. His mind is in chaos now. He can't trust anyone. He breaks free from Mike's hand and runs away without a word. Mike reaches out to stop him, but Laco's face appears before him. Laco tells him to come back, but Mike is unwilling. Two other angels also block Mike's path. Mike doesn't understand why they're stopping him and not Feng Xiaoqiao. He'll help the Grim Reaper find the keys. What if he meets Gil and gets in danger? However, in the angels' eyes, they don't interfere with human affairs. They just need to defeat the Grim Reaper. Meanwhile, Tao Da is being choked by Gil. Gil mocks him for being so weak now, clearly not recovered from the last brutal beating. Tao Da, unfazed, asks if he knows that talking too much leads to death. Gil's mask is suddenly torn by emerging thorns. He immediately covers his mouth and quickly retreats. This angers him. Since Tao Da wants him dead, he'll send Tao Da straight from the recovery center to the grave. Gil's attack makes Tao Da cough up blood. His hand also reveals white bone. Gil steps on his exposed bone hand and puts his mask back on. Then he sits on Tao Da. He was careless not to bury Tao Da last time. This time he'll watch Tao Da die, see him turn to bones, then to ashes, and finally disappear completely. Tao Da closes his eyes. This time he won't have such luck to be saved by a human. Feng Xiaoqiao picks up the thorns from the ground. He tries to call Tao Da's name. The thorns in his hand suddenly emit light. This light travels through the thorns to the severely injured Tao Da. Gil notices something's wrong. A shadow, raising a scythe, appears beneath Tao Da. It's the legendary Grim Reaper, Des, also the Reaper Gil most wants to kill. But Gil hesitates. He thinks Des is trying to lure him away to save his brother. He's not a foolish angel. Des doesn't answer him and quickly leaves. Gil doesn't want to let Tao Da go, nor can he spare Des, so he decides to kill Tao Da first. He violently chokes Tao Da's neck. The thorns in Feng Xiaoqiao's hand shatter into pieces. Gil chases after Des and leaves. Feng Xiaoqiao follows the thorns and finds Tao Da. He reaches out his trembling hand, then clenches it into a fist, unable to make a decision. Tao Da is no longer breathing. He has seen a similar scene before. Back then, he was crying in the snow, begging Tao Da to wake up. Just like now, he's crying for him to wake up. Tao Da's body is very cold, just like the people in the snow back then. Feng Xiaoqiao is at a loss. He doesn't know how to help him. A strange voice tells him to stop patting. Tao Da won't wake up. To save the Grim Reaper, one must sacrifice their own life. The stranger asks if he's willing to sacrifice his life. Feng Xiaoqiao's eyes are blurred with tears, unable to see the person in front of him clearly. He wants to know who it is. The stranger says if he doesn't want to save him, forget it. If Tao Da dies, he could be the main character. However, Feng Xiaoqiao didn't hear clearly. He only knows this person looks very similar to Tao Da. He must know how to save Tao Da. The stranger tells him that only a kiss of death will do. This way, he will come back to life. Then he will die. Feng Xiaoqiao looks shy. The stranger asks if he doesn't want to die or doesn't want to kiss him. Feng Xiaoqiao wants neither, but he can't watch him die either. He He wants to know if there's any other way to save him. However, the stranger tells him there's only one way to save the Grim Reaper. Feng Xiaoqiao thinks that since Tao has saved him, it's just a life for a life. The silver lining is that Tao Do is handsome. He holds Tao Do's hand and slowly lowers his head. Light appears on his hand. Tao Do's hand changes from bone to flesh. Then a finger stops Feng Xiaoqiao's lips. Tao Do slowly opens his eyes. He thanks Feng Xiaoqiao for saving him again. Feng Xiaoqiao's face turns bright red. He suddenly sits up straight, explaining it was all the stranger's idea. The stranger glances at Tao Do, puts a cloak on him, and calls him second brother. Turns out they are brothers. Tao Do asks where Gil went. The stranger says he projected Dessa's shadow to lure him away. If Gil discovers it's just a shadow, he'll return. They need to leave quickly. However, Tao Do is too severely injured to move. The stranger calls Feng Xiaoqiao to help. Feng Xiaoqiao offers his hand to Tao Do. Tao Do introduces them. The stranger is his brother, Gerda, also a Grim Reaper. Feng Xiaoqiao can see that Gerda clearly dislikes him. Tao Do says once they're in a safe place, he'll explain why Feng Xiaoqiao can help him recover his body. He then smiles, making Feng Xiaoqiao feel embarrassed. Tao Do asks why he's not afraid of him anymore. As Feng Xiaoqiao tries to explain, Gerda interrupts him. He volunteers that he can do what Tao Do does. Feng Xiaoqiao suddenly remembers that Mike has put the piano keys inside his body, but forgot to take back the gloves. Gerda calls him an idiot. Those gloves are the only ones that can grab the piano keys. But Tao Do comforts Feng Xiaoqiao, saying he can just go find Mike to get them back. Gerda worries that Tao Do's recovery will take too long. The angels have probably already used the gloves. He wants to go get them back now. Tao Do stops him. They had agreed on rules. Gerda is not allowed to interfere in his affairs. Gerda argues that Mike must have given the gloves to other angels. Monitoring other angels is his and Dessa's responsibility. Tao Do relents, agreeing to let him go, but insists he bring Mike back unharmed. Gerda doesn't understand what they need Mike for. Although initially it was Mike who found the life form with the piano keys inside. But now he's no longer needed. If it weren't for needing angels to guard the piano keys, Mike would have been dead long ago. Tao Do glances at Feng Xiaoqiao before explaining. Only Mike can write the music to be played on the creation piano. But Gerda already knows this. Tao Do then reveals that Grim Reapers can also play Mike's music on the creation piano. Gerda looks shocked as he understands. In the future, all the stars in the universe will be theirs. Tao Do admits this. Death will become the new prelude of the universe. To Feng Xiaoqiao, their words sound like villains. The two brothers are about to say goodbye. Their way of saying goodbye is actually kissing each other. Then Gerda glances at Feng Xiaoqiao and leaves. Tao Do explains that kissing is how Grim Reapers greet and say goodbye, because they take lives with a kiss. Kissing the lips causes death. Kissing the forehead causes memory loss. Kissing the hand causes sleep. So Tao Do stopped him from kissing his lips earlier. He almost died. Feng Xiaoqiao brings him back to his home. Tao Do is taking a shower. The bathroom door suddenly opens. Feng Xiaoqiao quickly pretends to be seriously doing homework. However, Tao Do just asks if there are any larger clothes. Feng Xiaoqiao immediately stands up to look. Tao Do secretly smiles at this scene. Feng Xiaoqiao is very dissatisfied. As a girl, where would she have larger clothes? She suddenly remembers her father's clothes from when he was fat. She mutters to herself while searching for her father's clothes. In the end, she really finds some. She hands the clothes to Tao Do, wanting him to try them. After Tao Do takes the clothes, Feng Xiaoqiao realizes that a wet, handsome guy is standing behind the door. The thought makes her a bit excited. She inadvertently sees Tao Do's wounds through the mirror. But Tao Do notices this. He reaches out a hand from behind the door to cover her eyes, telling her not to look. Feng Xiaoqiao covers her eyes. She passes her father's clothes over. Tao Do takes them. He pats her head, then closes the bathroom door. Feng Xiaoqiao stands outside. She asks if Tao Do's wounds hurt while showering. Hearing no response, she goes to do her homework. The bathroom is steamy. Although Tao Do doesn't speak, he feels warm inside. Tao Do finishes his shower. He sees Feng Xiaoqiao sitting at the desk doing homework. He walks behind her and stops a short distance away. Feng Xiaoqiao turns around and asks if he needs anything else. Tao steps closer, puts his hand on the chair back, points at Feng Xiaoqiao's school uniform with blood on it, wanting her to change and let him wash it. Feng Xiaoqiao refuses. She sees Tao De wearing her father's clothes, which are still a bit short, and secretly laughs to herself. Then she notices the clothes Tao De is holding in a basin. It's her school uniform that she soaked this morning. He actually washed it. Tao De explains that because he took up a lot of her time, he washed it while he was at it. Although Feng Xiaoqiao expresses gratitude, she's still a bit angry. She hopes Tao De won't do these things for her in the future. Tao De quickly apologizes, promising to ask for her consent next time. Then he asks if he can hang these clothes to dry. Feng Xiaoqiao thanks him again and is no longer angry. Tao De takes a few steps, then suddenly turns back to suggest Feng Xiaoqiao take a shower. He teases that she's dirty and should have showered long ago. Feng Xiaoqiao thinks this is a good suggestion, so she tells Tao De to stay on the balcony. She closes the bathroom door. She moves a few more boxes to block the door. After taking these safety measures, she realizes the bathroom is very clean. She didn't expect Tao De to have cleaned the bathroom, and so thoroughly too. Even the walls are shining. She suspects this guy might have severe OCD. Tao De finishes hanging the clothes and sits on the balcony to rest. At this moment, a video call comes in. The name displayed on the screen is Little Idiot. This is his contact name for his brother Gerda. Gerda sees in the video that his brother is not at home and is wearing strange clothes. He wants to ask what's going on. Tao De asks his brother what he wants. Gerda tells him that Mike the Angel seems to have lost his mind. Afraid Tao De won't believe him, he turns the phone camera towards Mike. Mike is kneeling on the ground, crying hard. He says he won't write music for the creation piano anymore because he once promised the creator not to let people die for the creation piano. But he saw Little Shah's recent social media post that an angel killed a Grim Reaper. The Order Angel, what is very curious about when Mike promised the creator. Mike explains that when he left his original world, he silently made the promise in his heart. What tells him to shut up and states that there were originally no Grim Reapers in the angel world. It was the Music Angel and Reason Angel together who wrote the Death Song, which created Grim Reapers when played on the creation piano. So ultimately, it's Mike's responsibility. The lucky Angel Laco believes Mike is innocent and apologizes to him. But what demands Mike to swear immediately that he will never betray the angel's stance. Otherwise, he'll have to leave his wings behind. Seeing this, Tao De tells his brother he was about to tell Xiaoqiao that the piano keys from those dead angels fell into his body, giving him the ability to summon other keys. Gerda on the phone dissuades Tao De, saying there's no need to tell Xiaoqiao about this. He thinks his second brother is being too nice to Xiaoqiao and teases if he hit his head when he arrived on Earth. Tao De tells his brother to mind his own business. Gerda tells him he can stay out of it, but if Xiaoqiao's existence threatens his second brother's life, their eldest brother will definitely intervene. And Tao De doesn't want to see his eldest brother. Xiaoqiao finishes her shower and is about to hang clothes. She sees Tao De chatting and decides to go to the balcony later. So she goes back to continue her homework. The angels are arguing. Gerda asks his second brother if he should go out to scare them or wait a bit longer. Tao De ignores his brother and hangs up the phone. Tao De opens the balcony door, about to go out. Xiaoqiao is carrying a basin, ready to come in and hang clothes. At the balcony door, she asks Tao De with concern if something happened. Tao De shakes his head, but is still demanding Mike to swear. Mike refuses. He also doesn't want to leave his wings behind. He believes that swearing should come from one's own beliefs, not from being forced. Moreover, he hasn't done anything wrong, so why should he leave his wings? What states that he is order itself? Today, Mike collected piano keys for the Grim Reaper, which seriously violated the angel's principles. He originally wanted to give him another chance, but didn't expect him to voluntarily give it up. So, as order, the angel must carry out his duty. Send Mike back to where he came from, that world that has already crashed. Let him reflect there. Mike doesn't want to go back. The Courage Angel Karigi tells Mike that what has opened a channel connecting the two worlds. He must be careful not to get sucked in. Tao De notices the channel has opened. He tells Xiaoqiao that he's going to check out what that glowing place is about. Xiaoqiao can't see anything glowing. Tauda realizes that only when Xiao Chao has more piano keys will she be able to see these things. He tells Xiao Chao that the light is energy from their homeland. Before leaving, he tells Xiao Chao another secret. If Xiao Chao shouts his name loudly in her heart, he will hear it and come immediately. Xiao Chao asks if it's because she's a Grim Reaper. Tauda quickly shakes his head and explains that he can only hear Xiao Chao's voice because she once saved him. So their lives are now connected. After saying this, the shadow flashes and disappears. Xiao Chao looks in the direction the shadow left, shouting for him to explain clearly before leaving. Tauda finds his brother. Gerda asks what's going on. His brother tells him to sit down and watch the show. It turns out the Order Angel wants to send Mike back to his original event. Mike strongly disagrees. He argues that everything he did was to complete the music sooner. To make the creation piano play again, he didn't do anything wrong and shouldn't be punished. The two Grim Reaper brothers watch the angels argue chaotically. The younger brother thinks Grim Reapers are more harmonious, while Tauda believes that since the Reason Angel left, these angels have become a bunch of fools. The younger brother laughs and compliments his brother's sharp tongue. Tauda thinks the music angel Mike might still be useful to them, so he plans to rescue him. Gerda notices his brother is badly injured, so he pushes his brother aside and flies over first. The angels are arguing heatedly when suddenly the light disappears and darkness surrounds them. What looks up and sees the Grim Reaper has arrived. He questions if the Grim Reaper has come to save his father, the music angel. Mike hears this and tells him not to talk nonsense. How could he possibly be the Grim Reaper's father? However, Mike hears What's voice. He sighs in relief. This means he's still on Earth. When it suddenly went dark, he thought he had already gone back. Tauda mocks Nick as a foolish bird, saying he doesn't understand death, so how could he write the Grim Reaper's music? Nick looks up and sees Tauda, his mouth wide open in surprise. Tauda is actually not dead. Tauda asks for the gloves. Mike explains that Xiao Chao forgot to take them. He then hands over the gloves and asks Tauda if the black shadow earlier was caused by the Grim Reapers. Tauda quickly takes back the gloves. He tells Mike this has nothing to do with him. Mike hesitates to speak. Since they've already cooperated, how could it not be related? But he's afraid the other angels might hear. At this moment, Gerda grabs the Order Angel's neck and explains the rules of the Grim Reapers. Because an angel killed a Grim Reaper once, now the Grim Reapers must kill an angel. This way it's fair. The Order Angel struggles and tells Gerda that if he's killed, no one will be able to open the channel. Then the Grim Reapers won't be able to go back either. Gerda casually says it doesn't matter. They're willing to stay here. Besides, there are so many lives on Earth, enough to keep the Grim Reapers busy for many years. The Order Angel curses the Grim Reaper as the plague of the universe. Gerda isn't angry at all. He even smiles and thanks him for the compliment. Just then, the Courage Angel Karigi flies over and throws herself into Gerda's arms, kissing him. What sees this and is shocked. Kissing a Grim Reaper means death. Grim Reaper Gerda immediately changes his mind. He wants to keep What and let the Courage Angel be the scapegoat. He believes that if the angels lose courage, they will fear the Grim Reapers even more. Mike can't see Karigi and suspects she's been killed by the Grim Reaper. He tries to rush forward. Grim Reaper Tauda grabs him from behind. He tells Mike that this is another Grim Reaper. Because an angel killed a Grim Reaper before, he's now taking revenge on the angels. Mike is heartbroken, lamenting when will this cycle of revenge end. How many lives have been lost for the sake of creation? He asks Tauda to tell that Grim Reaper to let the angels go quickly, or he won't cooperate anymore. Tauda sees Mike's expression and knows he's serious, so he calls out loudly for Gerda to come back. Tauda hugs Mike from behind and regretfully tells him that the angels don't appreciate his abilities. But Mike believes the angels are just doing their jobs, and he loves his angel companions very much. It's late. Gerda and Mike decide to go to Xiao Chao's house. On the way, they meet a piano key looking for Xiao Chao. Mike holds it in his arms. Tauda opens the door, but doesn't find Xiao Chao. However, he feels that the girl should be here, because he notices the homework book on the table is still the same as when he left. The piano key in Mike's arms suddenly jumps down. It runs to the cabinet and keeps scratching. Could Xiao Chao be inside? Tauda holds the piano key with one hand and knocks on the cabinet door with the other, asking loudly if anyone's inside. But there's no response. He opens the cabinet door and finds Xiao Chao curled up inside. Tears in her eyes, Xiao Chao says she just saw her parents. Xiao Chao describes what she saw. Her parents were smiling and calling her name from behind. Xiao Chao suspects she had a hallucination because she attended her parents' funeral and knows they're gone. But Mike tells her it wasn't a hallucination because Xiao Chao has 5 piano keys in her body. If she misses her parents very much, she can create a brief reality. Xiao Chao asks Mike why he didn't tell her earlier. She excitedly asks if it's possible to bring her parents back to life. After saying this, Xiao Chao looks at Mike with hopeful eyes, wishing he would nod. Unfortunately, Mike shakes his head, saying he doesn't know. He tells her to ask the Grim Reaper, Tao De. Xiao Chao turns her head. With teary eyes, she looks at Tao De and asks if the Grim Reaper can do it. Tao De scratches the back of his head and says they can try. The first step is to put the piano key into Xiao Chao's body. Xiao Chao is a bit excited and a bit scared. Tao De continues to arrange the next steps. After school, the 3 of them will go to the music classroom. Xiao Chao is responsible for playing the piano to attract the piano keys. Mike, besides being a sound amplifier, also needs to write music that can be used on the creation piano. Both Xiao Chao and Mike agree to this. Tao De's job is to supervise the 2 of them working. Mike and Xiao Chao are dissatisfied with Tao De's laziness. But in the end, they think it's fine as long as they do their own jobs well. So Xiao Chao plays the piano seriously. Mike writes music beside her, but he writes one sheet and tears it up. Finally, Mike plugs his ears with earplugs. Xiao Chao turns back to ask Mike if her piano playing is bothering him. Mike admits that it is indeed bothering him and goes on a long explanation. Xiao Chao listens to the existing problems. Xiao Chao sees that once he starts talking about music, he can't stop, and she apologizes with a smile. Mike asks Tao De if he can go to the classroom to write music, promising not to wander off. Tao De agrees, asking him to report progress every half hour. Mike says goodbye to Xiao Chao and leaves. Once outside, Mike breathes a sigh of relief. He was really nervous just now. He can't understand how Xiao Chao was so afraid of the Grim Reaper during the day, but at night they became like old friends. What kind of relationship do they have? Mike decides not to think about it and focus on writing music instead. But Xiao Chao's piano sound keeps reaching his ears. He's already heard over 1,000 mistakes. He doubts whether the creation piano can accept Xiao Chao's playing. Perhaps he should try to understand Xiao Chao. Thinking about this, he has a sudden realization. He decides to add Xiao Chao on WeChat first and follow her moments. But then he worries that people don't always tell the truth on their moments. He walks while scratching his head. Lost in thought, he doesn't notice someone calling and waving to him from inside a room. Tao De sits on the sofa drinking tea and reading. Suddenly, he sees the poverty angel Jones walking towards him, dirty and wearing only a tank top, shorts, and flip-flops. The poverty angel asks if he's the Grim Reaper Tao De. Tao De nods. He jokes that poverty and death are good friends, telling the other not to be afraid. Jones says he's here specifically to find him. Tao De is interested, wondering who he wants killed. Jones shakes his head repeatedly, saying he doesn't want anyone killed. He just wants to give him the piano key he's guarding. Tao De is secretly delighted. A free piano key, but why? Jones tells him he doesn't want the key's owner to continue being poor because of him, so he wants to take away the key on his body. Tao De looks indifferent, saying he's also moved by the angel's kindness. In fact, he's internally mocking that all angels are crazy. Feng Xiao Chao sees Tao De and asks where he went earlier. Tao De tells her that the poverty angel Jones wants to give him a piano key, and then he needs to take Xiao Chao to the classroom and have Mike take her home. Xiao Chao wants to go with Tao De, but Tao De is worried it might be dangerous. Xiao Chao insists on going together and makes a deduction, since Tao De's wound hasn't healed. Bringing her along means he can replenish blood anytime. Also, as long as Tao De is fine, he will definitely protect her. Finally, Tao De is convinced and agrees to take her along. But he tells her to obey him and extends his pinky finger to make a pinky promise. Feng Xiao Chao laughs at how childish he is, but she extends her pinky finger anyway. Their pinkies interlock. Jones leads them to a house. As the door opens, a beautiful young lady greets them. Seeing Xiao Chao and Tao De behind Jones, she quickly invites them in. The young lady brings out her favorite tea set and tea bags to serve them. She also compliments Xiao Chao and Tao De on their beauty, saying they must be angels. Then the young lady asks Jones to keep them company while she goes to make tea. Tao De asks Jones why he didn't tell the young lady the purpose of their visit. Jones explains he didn't expect them to come so quickly. Tao De suddenly remembers that this beautiful young lady is the Miss Du who went bankrupt 10 years ago. He asks Jones why Miss Du is living here. Jones says it's all his fault. Miss Du is eavesdropping on their conversation behind the door. She turns and runs. Jones chases after her, shouting that they're not here to collect debts. Miss Du turns back to blame Jones for trusting humans, telling him to run with her. Jones tells Miss Du that the one they're running from isn't human. It's the Grim Reaper Tao De, who raises his hand to use his power. A rope wraps around Miss Du's ankle, tripping her. Jones hurries to help her up. Seeing the girl fall, Xiao Chao tells Tao De to be gentler. Tao De obediently withdraws his power. Miss Du trembles in fear. Jones tells her that he asked Tao De to come and take away the piano key on his body to help her become a rich young lady again. Miss Du firmly disagrees upon hearing this. She hugs Jones tightly, saying she's long since gotten used to her current poor life and doesn't want to be separated from Jones. Seeing Miss Du's outright refusal, Tao De extends his finger again, about to use his power. Miss Du sees his skeletal finger and is terrified. She begs him not to separate her from Jones. Xiao Chao tugs at Tao De's clothes from behind. She tells him that humans fear the Grim Reaper and asks him not to be so fierce. Tao De is dismissive. He thinks that after he takes away the piano key, Jones can still live here, so the young lady's reason doesn't hold up. Xiao Chao asks to persuade Miss Du herself, since they're both human and can communicate better. Tao De holds Xiao Chao's shoulder and softly tells her to call him in her mind if anything happens. Jones watches Tao De's actions and remarks that Tao De has become gentler since coming to Earth. Tao De tells him to shut up, threatening to show him what gentle really means if he dares to say such things again. Jones immediately apologizes and doesn't dare to speak anymore. Inside the house, Feng Xiao Chao tries to persuade Miss Du, telling her she can't stop this from happening, because when the piano key leaves, it won't follow the host's will. And even without the piano key, Jones can still stay here. They won't be separated. Miss Du is a bit curious. Feng Xiao Chao is also human, so why can she summon the piano key on her body? Xiao Chao says she doesn't know the reason either. Miss Du then asks her if she's ever thought about keeping the creation piano on Earth. Tao De hears there's a piano in the house and asks Jones to take him to it. Tao De caresses the piano, remarking on how beautiful it is. Miss Du believes that the creation piano can create everything. If it stays on Earth, it can do many wonderful things. For example, poverty, war, disease, and even death could be eliminated. Feng Xiao Chao ponders this. Suddenly, Xiao Chao hears piano music. She thinks that the creation piano could also cause the destruction of their original world. It's better to take it away soon. But Miss Du believes that the reason for the world's destruction was the creation of the Grim Reaper. After the Grim Reaper killed the creator, the angels were powerless. But humans are clever. They can surely find a way to use the creation piano to create beauty without being destroyed by it. Xiao Chao looks at Miss Du in shock. Can they really achieve this with their power? Now, both angels and the Grim Reaper just want to take back the creation piano and return to their own world. If the piano is left behind, who knows what might happen? Miss Du questions Xiao Chao. Out of 7 billion people worldwide, only Feng Xiao Chao can recall the piano keys. This means she holds the key to making humanity better. How can she evade this responsibility? Feng Xiao Chao just wants to return to a normal life. She doesn't dare to think about this responsibility. Miss Du suggests to Xiao Chao that she could threaten the Grim Reaper by refusing to help collect the piano keys. Wouldn't that work? Xiao Chao says Miss Du overestimates her. She's just an ordinary person. How could she dare to oppose the Grim Reaper? Miss Du pours a cup of tea and invites Xiao Chao to drink. Xiao Chao compliments the beautiful tea set. Suddenly, the poor angel didn't expect the Grim Reaper to sneeze and tries hard not to laugh out loud. Suddenly, Jones notices a black shadow flash by. Tao De has disappeared. It's been so long, and Xiao Chao hasn't come out yet. Tao De runs into the house to look, but finds no one. Just as he's feeling frustrated, Xiao Chao waves to him from outside the window. He asks Xiao Chao if she's reached an agreement. Xiao Chao nods, but mentions one condition. Miss Du's father has a friend who owes money and won't repay. They want the Grim Reaper to help get it back. Tao De is a bit angry. What do they think he is? Xiao Chao tells him not to be so fierce. Although Tao De is very reluctant, he finally agrees. Xiao Chao looks at Tao De's expression and tells Miss Du to quickly retrieve the piano key to make Tao De a bit happier. Miss Du hugs Jones, demanding that he not leave even after the piano key is taken. Jones says that without the piano key, his presence won't affect Miss Du much, so he agrees. Xiao Chao sits at the piano without saying a word. The piano key automatically appears. She's a bit surprised. Tauda explains it's because she's close to the piano key. Xiao Chao tells Tauda that she saw his shadow in the hospital too, with wings on his back. She thought she had met an angel then. Tauda is incredulous. He insists Xiao Chao must have seen wrong. He's the Grim Reaper. How could he have wings? The girl points at the boy's back in shock. He looks at his own back with disdain. He begs the girl to help him make his wings disappear. The girl is at a loss, wondering how she can help him. Suddenly, the wings on the boy's back vanish without reason. This is the power of the creation piano. As soon as it sounds, they disappear. Miko, left in the classroom, is very angry. He stands furiously in front of Tauda, but the other is looking at his phone while calmly asking about the progress of his musical score. Miko is caught off guard. He weakly replies that it's not written yet. Miko is also anxious because he doesn't understand Xiao Chao. He can't compose a piece that the creation piano would approve. He wants to enter Xiao Chao's inner world, thinking it might help. They find Xiao Chao and explain their intention, but she refuses because she doesn't want to expose her privacy. No one wants their inner world to be seen by others. However, Miko doesn't give up. He suggests they could exchange views, but the other remains unmoved. She leaves with slight disdain. Miko looks at Tauda in confusion, not understanding why he insists on Xiao Chao talking about creation. Tauda looks at him speechlessly. He has another way for Miko to understand Xiao Chao, by entering his own inner world. Miko certainly won't miss this opportunity. It's a good chance to understand the Grim Reaper's secrets. He reaches out his hand towards the other. He can only enter if he touches the other. Tauda looks at him with disdain, but he cooperates and extends his finger to touch him. Before Miko enters, the other threatens him not to look around carelessly, or he'll make sure he never returns. After promising not to look around, he closes his eyes and successfully enters Tauda's inner world. He opens his eyes and sees arguing figures in front of him. It's the Order Angel and the Killing Angel surrounding Tauda. This should be the scene when he first came to Earth. As the few argue fruitlessly, the Grim Reaper instantly kills a certain stupid bird. However, in the next second, Miko also experiences intense pain. He knows it's intentional from someone. Afterwards, he continues to wander, looking for Xiao Chao's figure. Suddenly, there's an explosion. He looks up to see a malfunctioning plane in the distance. Tauda sees the panicked expressions of people on the plane. Injured, he falls unconscious and plummets. The unconscious Tauda vaguely hears a calling voice. He opens his eyes to see a little girl looking at him with concern. The plane crashes. Except for Xiao Chao, everyone else has perished. He looks at the girl and asks if she's willing to save him. The girl urgently tells him that of course she wants to save him. He struggles to sit up, frightening the girl who quickly tries to dissuade him from moving. He doesn't listen, instead asking for her name. After learning the girl is called Feng Xiao Chao. Under the girl's puzzled expression, he cups her face and tells her that he entrusts the rest of his life to her. The next second, he kisses the girl's forehead. Tauda looks at the unconscious girl, gets up, and carries her away. Having watched the entire process, Miko is very unsettled. This is indeed the Grim Reaper's style, using any means to achieve his goals. Tauda is indifferent and mocks him, still believing his approach is the best. Then he changes the subject, questioning Miko, "Don't you know how the plane crashed?" This instantly makes the other two embarrassed to speak. Tauda doesn't care about him and directly reveals that this tragedy was caused by both of them. Miko wants to know if Xiao Chao's ability is because of the piano key. However, the other refuses to answer, and his inner world falls into darkness. Xiao Chao hears the nurse's whispers and becomes somewhat panicked. At this moment, the doctor calls him for an examination, but he can't afford it. The doctor comes over, squats in front of him, and patiently tells him not to be afraid, it's free. Tauda silently watches all this from outside the door. He can't be bothered to answer the nurse's questions. Xiao Chao looks at the books on the shelf above her head, preparing to stand on tiptoes to get them. Suddenly, someone stands behind her, helps her take it down, and hands it to her. Tauda watches the girl flipping through the book, pondering whether he should still help her hire a lawyer. Feeling troubled, he considers getting rid of her. This makes Miko, who's observing his inner thoughts, despise him. At night, the Grim Reaper comes to the girl's room. He stares at the bear in the girl's arms, feeling like it's mocking him. Miko squats nearby, watching. Looking at the conflicted Grim Reaper, he wants to call him stupid, but is too cowardly to provoke him. Suddenly, the other blurts out, "Kill him." He thought the Grim Reaper would soften. However, the next second, the Grim Reaper decisively reaches out to lift the girl's chin. Without hesitation, he leans down to kiss her. Just as he's about to kiss her, Miko feels a bit embarrassed and looks away, too shy to watch. But the Grim Reaper outside notices and instantly closes the door. Then don't look. Miko is very anxious, eager to know why Xiao Chao is unharmed. The Grim Reaper tells him that he didn't fall, because a white feather suddenly appeared on the girl's lips. It transformed into the figure of his father. He tells his son that if the girl dies, he will also disappear. He's trapped on the piano key, residing within Xiao Chao. Hearing this, Miko is very excited. He can't believe the rational angel is still alive. He frantically knocks on the door, begging the other to open it. The rational angel is his best friend. He wants to see him. He cries out in pain, regretting not seeing his good friend's last moments. His behavior gives Tauda a headache. He tells Miko that his father only left a bit of consciousness. He can't see his father. Let in, Miko looks at the feather in the Grim Reaper's hand and reaches out to touch it. He suddenly hears a last will. Surprisingly, it tells the Grim Reaper not to return the creation piano to the angels. He doesn't understand why he would say that. The Grim Reaper outside, sending a message to Xiao Chao, mocks him. "Aren't you best friends?" Xiao Chao, still groggy, sees the figure by her bed. She sits up abruptly, demanding to know who he is. She doesn't wait for his reply. She asks if he's here to take her to heaven to see her parents. The girl remains calm even after learning he's the Grim Reaper. She even sighs, thinking she's dreaming. The Grim Reaper listens to the girl's murmurs, cups her face, leans down to kiss her forehead, erasing her memories. Before losing her memory, the girl asks him to tell her parents that she's fine and not to worry. She has one more question for the Grim Reaper to ask her parents. Why does no one like her after they left? The girl's question stuns both of them. The Grim Reaper looks at the little girl crying in front of him. He first adjusts her bear, then stares at the tears on his hand. Finally, he soothingly strokes the little girl's cheek, telling her to tell those who don't like her to go to hell. The angel nearby is very anxious, worried that he will corrupt the child. But the angel, looking at the two getting along so well, thinks they're really daring to teach and learn. The girl happily looks at the Grim Reaper, asking if he can appear in her real life. He pokes her forehead hard, but tells the girl to remember what he just taught, and he'll consider it. Watching the girl seriously memorizing, the Grim Reaper thinks that when deleting her memory, he can keep what he just taught in the real world. The school bell rings. The Grim Reaper decides to let the angel quickly see Xiao Chao's future. Time flies. Xiao Chao enters Dream Fulfillment Middle School. She also makes good friends. The Grim Reaper comes and goes in Xiao Chao's memories. Suddenly one day, it starts raining heavily. Miko sees Xiao Chao on the overpass. She sits there, soaking wet, looking up at the sky. She feels so tired, thinking life isn't good at all. If it weren't for the Grim Reaper's constant protection, her life might have ended long ago. Yet as a Grim Reaper, he has to protect her to live on. He finds it laughable himself. Hearing this, Miko doesn't dare to laugh. He actually has a question he's always wanted to ask the Grim Reaper, and finally finds the opportunity. Risking his life, he asks the Grim Reaper if he likes Xiao Chao. Sure enough, hearing this question, the Grim Reaper's eyes instantly become sharp. Before he can do anything, there's a knock at the door. It's Xiao Chao. After she enters the classroom, they start chatting. Xiao Chao sees the piano key on Tauda's hand. Learning its origin, she realizes she doesn't need to chant for the piano key spirit to come out. She also learns that Tauda killed the sparrow for the spirit to come out. This makes her very angry. Looking at the angry girl before him, he believes he did nothing wrong because he's the Grim Reaper. Hearing Tauda's inner voice, Miko immediately senses his abnormality. He hurriedly stops him from acting impulsively to avoid regret. Outside, the girl timidly speaks up, smiling as she negotiates with Tauda to wait for her to get the piano key together in the future. She then extends her hand to Pinky Swear. His agitated heart is instantly soothed. He reaches out to Pinky Swear with the girl. After the promise, the girl lifts her bangs, exposing her forehead, letting him put the piano key in. After Tauda leaves, he kicks Miko out of his inner world. He asks if the other can write the musical score now. The other firmly tells him of course he can. Miko is very grateful for his help, saying he can definitely write a song that Creation Piano will approve. However, Tauda is very doubtful about this. Miko doesn't care about his thoughts and happily runs off. He says he can submit the draft tomorrow. This makes Tauda even more suspicious of the quality of his work. The excited Miko dances in the rain. The world seems to sense his good mood. The wind blows the rain threads around him into a musical staff. Large raindrops jump to form musical notes. Even Tauda in the distance feels his mood and decides to trust him this once. Miko looks around, and after finding no one nearby, he spreads his wings and flies towards the sky. In the clouds, Miko looks at his hands. He never uses his hands to create music, because he is music itself. His inner self naturally flows out everything he sees and hears, thus composing the most beautiful melody. Looking at the score in his hand, he believes that even the rational angel would approve of this piece, because no one could dislike music. After finishing the composition, Miko rushes to find Xiao Qiao and Tauda. He asks them to check his work. Tauda snatches the score from his hand and gives it to Xiao Qiao, asking her to try playing it. They both look at her expectantly. The three excitedly go to the piano. Xiao Qiao touches the piano keys. She wonders what miracle will happen when playing the Music Angel score. She's also very excited. This is clearly a beautiful piece of music, but Xiao Qiao feels very uncomfortable while playing. It's like falling into an abyss. In a dark world, she's very scared. Xiao Qiao, who is performing, is suddenly thrown back. The notes from the score are continuously flying out. They're coming towards her direction. Tauda senses something is wrong. He immediately hugs her and leaves, angrily questioning Miko about what's happening. But the other doesn't know either. He can only quickly recall the flying notes. Tauda looks at the girl's injured hand and tells her to go to the infirmary for bandaging. Suddenly, a note flies by and cuts his face. Seeing Tauda instantly angered, Xiao Qiao decides to go to the infirmary to get a band-aid for him. He answers ominously, telling her to bring back more bruise medicine. Miko will need it later. He pushes Xiao Qiao out and closes the door. Inside, Miko is relieved to have finally collected all the notes, unaware of Tauda darkening behind him. The next moment, Miko is suspended in the air. He hurriedly speaks up, explaining that he wrote according to Tauda's inner thoughts. Although Tauda wouldn't harm Xiao Qiao, he repeatedly erases the girl's memories. The only thing left in his memory is the image of the Grim Reaper. There are no other memories. This scares him. Perhaps these words touched on things Tauda didn't want to face. He instantly throws Miko out the window. He doesn't want to believe what Miko said, insisting that the other wrote it wrong. He then turns to leave, but seeing the score on the floor, he slowly bends down to pick it up. Images of his first meeting with Xiao Qiao flash through his mind frame by frame, scene by scene. Looking at the score in his hand, he discovers a secret. He realizes that all his emotions and energy revolve around one girl. However, Miko clearly knows everything, because all Grim Reapers love without knowing it. The girl rubs the tears from her eyes. She's certain that the melody she heard must have been played by Tauda, because his piano sound is different from everyone else's. She finds that his music carries beauty, solemnity, gentleness, and restraint, like a beam of light shining in the sunlight. It makes her more curious, wanting to understand Tauda, what kind of person he really is. Miko interrupts Xiao Qiao's meditation, loudly telling her that this piece was played for him by Tauda. However, the distance is a bit far, and she can't hear what he's saying. Seeing Miko anxiously waving at her and telling her to go back quickly, she's speechless. As Xiao Qiao slowly walks back, she discovers someone standing at the door, peeking in. The person has red eyes and looks very similar to Tauda. Remembering what Miko and others said before, she knows this must be Tauda's brother. She hesitates whether to greet him or not. The person seems to sense her movement, turns his head, and tells her not to make a sound. When the girl sees his face clearly, she feels a bit scared and wants to run away. In her panic, the medicine she's holding slips. The person instantly reacts and flies over to catch the falling items. He again tells her not to disturb Tauda's piano playing. He puts the things back in her arms. The girl is curious if he's also a Grim Reaper. He tells her that he is the purest Grim Reaper and invites her to verify it. He lifts Xiao Qiao's chin. He's about to lean down and kiss her. She wants to refuse but finds she can't move at all. She can only call out Tauda's name in her heart, hoping he can hear and come to save her. Just as the kiss is about to happen, the man opens his eyes. He blocks the sudden attack. It turns out Tauda heard the girl's call for help and arrived at the critical moment. Tauda holds the girl's hand, protecting her behind him. He greets his brother and asks him not to scare her. He wants to know why his brother came here. His brother tells him that there's something in his piano sound that doesn't belong to a Grim Reaper. This displeases him, so he came to see what's going on, but he found a disgusting little thing. The brother leans down to look at the girl behind Tauda. He warns the girl not to corrupt his brother. They're just using him and will make him forget everything after they're done. Tauda interrupts his brother. Under the girl's confused expression, he tells his brother that he will delete his own memories. Tauda secretly pinches the girl's elbow, signaling her not to speak. Then, he analyzes the pros and cons with his brother. The most important thing now is to find the remaining piano keys. He continues to reassure his brother, explaining that his brother can also play the music he just talked about. With his brother's ability, he can create an entire universe. Tauda's brother is unmoved. He just wants all his brothers to be safe. He touches his brother's ear and looks at Tauda seriously. He hopes Tauda won't disappoint him. As his voice fades, he disappears from the spot. Xiao Chao asks her doubt. Does he really have to delete her memories? Tauda turns to face her. Under the girl's confusion, he cups her face and leans in to kiss her. Before the kiss lands, the girl pushes him away. She knows that if he kisses her, she will die. Tauda grabs the girl's hand, angrily questioning why she didn't push death away earlier. She defends herself, saying he must have used some spell that made her unable to move. However, Tauda knows his brother doesn't have such a spell. The girl frankly admits she's timid and a bit afraid of Grim Reapers. Tauda teaches her that if caught, she should kick them directly below with both feet. The girl raises her foot, seeming eager to try, but he stops her in time. Then he tells her the Grim Reaper's weakness. If her hands aren't caught, she should pull their hair. The girl hesitantly reaches out to grab his hair. Tauda sees her hesitation and encourages her to try. When the girl's hand touches his hair, his heart can't stop racing. Seeing Tauda like this, she wants to tease him a bit. Seeing the girl's mischievous smile, he starts lecturing again. Finally, he tells her that when calling for him, she must buy time for herself, waiting for his arrival. Xiao Chao looks at Tauda's back, begging him not to delete her memories. She wants to remember them, especially him. Tauda stops, but doesn't turn around. He confesses to Xiao Chao that his earring is Death's right eye. He can only see what's in front of him and can't hear sounds. He tells her to write down what she doesn't want to forget in a small notebook. He playfully suggests they work together to trick Death. The girl quietly walks to the side without his earring and softly asks if Death can't see this side. Tauda smiles, which is rare, and tells her she can wear a mask if she's scared. This way, the Grim Reaper can't kiss her. Xiao Chao is doubtful about this. While she's treating Tauda's wound, Miko comes in excitedly. He tells them that the angels sense love in Tauda's piano sound and want to invite him. However, he disdainfully refuses the invitation. Tauda is convinced it's a trap set by those stinky birds. Miko, wrongly accused, is very angry. Then, Miko calms down and thinks angels and Grim Reapers can cooperate to find the piano keys together. Tauda slaps the music sheet on his forehead. To cooperate, he demands sincerity, not just words. If he can agree to his conditions, he might consider it. Then he urges Xiao Chao to go home and do homework. She still has doubts and hasn't left. She asks Miko if he's the only angel willing to cooperate with Grim Reapers, because apart from him, she's only met the poor angel and the killing angel. They fear and hate Grim Reapers. Miko gives an ambiguous answer. Tauda interrupts him directly and bluntly points out that Grim Reapers are born to despise angels. And angels hate Grim Reapers because they killed the creator, so they're naturally opposed to each other. Miko hurriedly interrupts him, stating that music can embrace everything, including death. Tauda mocks him for making big talk, saying he even makes mistakes in composing for humans. Xiao Chao secretly cheers for Miko. After showering, Xiao Chao remembers what Tauda said. She takes out a new notebook and sits at her desk, pondering what she doesn't want to forget. To be safe, she decides to write everything down. Tauda senses that Death is angry, but can't detect where he is. He knows neither he nor God can stop him. Meanwhile, Miko is still struggling with his creation. He decides to seek help from the love angel Laf, asking how to write about the feeling of being loved. He tells Miko that only those who have love can understand the feeling of being loved. Love doesn't refer to music, but to romantic love. The love angel asks him who he thinks of when he hears about love. Miko answers without hesitation that it's him, of course, because he's the love angel. Miko looks at the suddenly hung-up phone, confused about what happened to Love. On the other side, Death finds the love angel and asks him to remove all love from his brother Tauda. Love refuses Death's request. He threatens that the only choices are to agree or die. Love deals with him while secretly casting a spell, but it's still discovered. Death walks over and warns him, giving him one last chance to live. He waves his hand and destroys the spell Love was casting. He mocks him, asking if it terrifies him that even Grim Reapers can love. Hearing his mockery, Death reaches out and pinches his face. With a sneering smile, he says fear is his food, like him right now. Looking at the Grim Reaper who's about to kill him without hesitation, he utters a curse, cursing him to never obtain love. However, Death doesn't care at all. Grim Reapers can't truly kill the love angel. When the Creator's love is restored, he will be born again in the sound of the piano. Love will always accompany music. Miko, who came looking for the love angel out of concern, happens to witness the scene of Death killing him. He rushes forward to stop it, but he's a step too late. The love angel dissipates before him. He cries out his name in grief. At this moment, Death asks him, "Is it music?" Hearing his voice, Miko demands to know why he killed the love angel. Death seems to ignore his question. He walks forward and tells him that he can forgive Miko's rudeness this time, but he can't forgive him for writing that disgusting song. Meanwhile, while Xiao Qiao is still writing furiously, Tauda finds her and tells her to hide her memory notebook first. She starts looking around for a place to hide it. Seeing the wardrobe, she remembers there's a hidden compartment inside. She finally decides to hide it there. When she hides the small notebook inside, she discovers another notebook there, even with a lock on it. She takes out the previous notebook and puts the newly written one in. She stuffs the old notebook under the covers. After hiding it well, she takes off her headband, messes up her hair, and goes to open the curtains. Tauda tells her that Death killed the love angel. He warns Xiao Qiao to be careful as other angels might cause trouble for her. He also knows she's worried about Miko's safety. He'll ask about Miko's situation later. He mainly came to take her to his place, which is safer. Xiao Qiao shyly refuses, feeling it's inconvenient. He knows she's overthinking it and explains that his place is more spacious, with a separate room for her. At least they can both sleep in beds. He urges Xiao Qiao to quickly pack her things and leave. Xiao Qiao, still worried, reminds him to ask about Miko's situation. While she's packing, Tauda takes out his phone and calls Miko, but he doesn't answer. Death knows it's his brother calling. He asks Miko why he's not answering. Miko is surprised how he knows it's Tauda calling. Now is not the time to think about this. He answers Tauda's call, listening to him inquire about his situation out of concern. Thinking about his current predicament, he doesn't want to talk to the Grim Reaper, so he hangs up. Tauda looks at the ended call, a bit disbelieving that he dared to hang up on him. He tells Xiao Qiao that Miko is fine. Then he asks if she's packed. Xiao Qiao wants to change clothes, but he says it's not necessary and he can take her directly. She's curious how. Tauda takes her luggage, holds her in his arms, and tells her to close her eyes. She obediently does so. Then it feels like merging into a dark, warm sea. The next second, she suddenly remembers she might have forgotten to turn off the lights at home. Tauda looks at her exasperatedly and uses magic to turn off the lights. Xiao Qiao opens her eyes, embarrassed, and asks if he could do it again. He just smiles and holds the girl in his arms again. He asks if she's brought everything, and after getting an affirmative answer, he asks once more. The girl knows he's teasing her and urges him to start already. Tauda stops teasing her and tells her to enter his inner world. Meanwhile, Death is curious why Miko didn't ask Tauda for help. Miko knows Tauda won't help him. He asks about Death's identity. Death tells him he's the one who killed the Creator. Then Death steps forward and grabs Miko's shoulders. He's always been confused about what music is and why it could create everything in their original universe. He grips Miko's arm tightly, wanting to test him. He tells Miko to enter his inner world and see, wanting him to experience true death. Miko can't resist him and is placed into his inner world. As long as Miko can create music in his heart, he will let him out. Although Death says this, he won't let him out again. Without him, there will be no sheet music, the love angel won't be resurrected, and Tauda will behave. However, Miko, upon entering Death's inner world, seems to discover something incredible. Death's inner world actually has fragments of love. Miko quickly collects them excitedly making a sound. It's actually little Loth. Death notices his actions and tells him it's all useless. He tells Miko to look down, following Death's words. He looks down. He and these fragments will all be sucked in eventually. On the other side, Tauta tells Xiao Chao they've arrived. She quickly leaves his embrace after opening her eyes. He tells Xiao Chao that the keys are in the drawer. His bedroom is right across from hers. She can call him if anything happens. After he arranges everything, he says goodnight to Xiao Chao and turns to leave immediately. She wonders why he's in such a hurry. She doesn't think much of it and starts organizing her backpack. Looking at the notebook in her hand, she wonders what's inside. Outside the door, Tauta painfully covers his wound. He finds his hand covered in blood. Previously, dead angels didn't affect the Grim Reaper. Thinking of the recent call with the music angel, could it be the music angel? Xiao Chao suddenly opens the door, bumping into Tauta outside. She quickly apologizes, but notices he's injured. Before she can say anything, he quickly covers her mouth, telling her not to make a sound. He doesn't want his brother to know. She nods quickly, and he releases his hand. She grabs his clothes, thinking of helping him heal, but it seems useless. Not knowing why this is happening, he says he'll investigate. Then he urges her to go back to her room to sleep. Xiao Chao refuses to leave him unattended and asks where the first aid kit is. Learning there isn't one at home, she uses her phone to find a nearby convenience store and prepares to go buy supplies. Tauta stops her, saying he can't let Death discover Xiao Chao. She suggests, couldn't she just cover her earrings? She'll pretend to sleep first, then naturally turn over to cover the earrings. Then she can go in and help treat his wound. This way, she won't be discovered, right? Xiao Chao is very cute like this. He can't bear to refuse and decides to let her help this once. After arranging the plan, Xiao Chao goes out to buy medicine. Tauta, worried, calls out to her, telling her to call him in her mind if she encounters danger. Hearing his concerned words, her nose tingles. She quickly blinks back tears and sternly scolds him not to act tough and to lie down properly. The moment the front door closes, a person instantly appears inside. It's Goad, who also sensed something unusual and came to check. He arrives at the right time, as Tauta has a favor to ask of him. He guesses that Death swallowed the music angel, but hasn't killed him yet. They were all born in music, so they're all affected to some extent. But the angels are more affected than they are. He wants Goad to negotiate with them, to exchange all the piano keys for Miko. However, doing this might result in both Miko and him dying. Tauta wonders if he will die from saving the injured. He gets up, brushing off the dust, and tells Goad to quickly find the angels. If the angels don't agree, they'll have to find Death to rescue Miko. Goad thinks to himself that although it's risky, coming up with such a good idea in this situation is indeed worthy of his second brother. Goad looks at Xiao Chao returning with medicine, thinking of his smart, calm, and brave second brother. How could he possibly be influenced by a young girl? He snorted haughtily and flew away. Xiao Chao returns home and knocks on Tauta's door. He tells her to come in. As Xiao Chao pushes the door open, her face instantly turns red. Tauta has changed clothes and is lying on the bed with his waist exposed. She takes a deep breath, comforting herself not to panic. She ties up her hair and starts treating his wound with medicine. Fortunately, it's only a surface wound. She takes out alcohol to clean the wound. Alcohol treatment will be more painful, so Xiao Chao asks him to bear with it. She quickly finishes treating the wound. It's Tauta's first time experiencing bandaging, and he's a bit curious. He wants to wrap it around his waist once. Looking at the bandage around his waist, he happily twirls around in front of the mirror like a child. Xiao Chao, feeling sleepy, rubs her eyes. Tauta, noticing her movement, takes her hand and kisses it, because being kissed by Death makes one fall asleep immediately. Looking at the sleeping girl, he gently picks her up and places her on the bed. He wonders how the task he assigned to Goad is progressing. Meanwhile, the angels refuse to exchange the piano keys for me. They don't want to fall for Death's tricks again. During their argument, someone seems to be approaching from afar. It's actually the Angel of Light. In their home universe, the rational angel created Death, but Death killed the creator. The creation emotion shattered, and everything stopped moving. The angels followed the piano keys to Earth. Only the Angel of Light stayed behind. Because the universe needs light, he had to stay there to illuminate their way back. They actually called the Angel of Light here. Does this mean they don't plan to go back? Someone explains to Goad that light now connects the channels between both sides. He thinks these people have gone mad, but they've already lost the Angel of Courage and the Angel of Love. Now even the music angel is about to fall. If they lose light as well, they'll go completely insane. What will happen to this universe, including death? Goat sits down to discuss a solution with them. Since neither side trusts the other, there's only one solution: find a trusted third party to help them resolve this deadlock. He asks Light if there's a suitable candidate. On the other side, Xiao Chao wakes up and quickly sits up in bed. How did she end up sleeping in Tauda's room? She looks around, but doesn't see anyone. She pats the bed, finding it very soft, and feels a bit envious. After tossing around in bed for a while, she gets up to return to her own room to freshen up. She opens the door, but finds Tauda sleeping in her bed. Not wanting to disturb him, she quietly retreats from the room and closes the door. She doesn't realize he's already awake. After closing the door, she realizes she should have taken out her homework and notebook first. Just as she opens the door again, Tauda also comes out from inside. They happen to meet. Xiao Chao quickly explains she came in to freshen up. He reminds her they need to go out to eat as there's no food at home. Outside, the two sit in a breakfast shop. Tauda watches her eat while discussing what they need to do next. He tells Xiao Chao to quit her part-time job and focus on practicing the piano. He'll pay her a salary. Xiao Chao is excited, but politely says it's too much. He's a man of action and immediately transfers double her salary, including back pay for previous work. Xiao Chao looks at the last bun on her plate. She asks if he's not eating. He says they can eat human food, but can't absorb the nutrients. Watching Xiao Chao pick up the last bun, he decides to tease her a bit. He tells her there's a rabbit pattern under the bun. She believes him and lifts the bun to check. While she's confused about not seeing anything, he leans forward and bites the bun in her hand. She instantly realizes she's been tricked and asks if it was fun. He thinks teasing her is very enjoyable. Xiao Chao tells him that in human society, one shouldn't eat food from someone else's hand. But he's not human. Tauda doesn't care about such rules. While she's still talking, he swallows the remaining bun in her hand in one bite, instantly leaving Xiao Chao speechless. After eating, he elegantly wipes his mouth and shamelessly thanks her for the treat. After the meal, they go to the supermarket. Xiao Chao watches him picking items in front of her. It seems he's already adapted to life here. She stares at Tauda's white sweatshirt, noticing how clean his cuffs are. She wonders how he manages that. He notices Xiao Chao staring at him and thinks she's worried about his wound. He tells her not to worry, as it's much better now. Xiao Chao knows he's misunderstood, but goes along with it. She reaches out to touch his arm, wanting to try healing him again. Just as she touches him, she pulls her hand back. What is she doing in public? Coming to her senses, she makes an excuse and runs away. As she turns, she accidentally knocks over some nearby fruit, frantically diving to catch them. Watching her fumble, Tauda can't help but laugh. She knows he's chuckling behind her and, too embarrassed to face him, runs away with the apples. She actually knows what's wrong with her. It's all because of him. Because he's too good-looking, she acts this way. She thinks of a solution. From now on, she'll mentally blur his face. That should solve the problem. Having solved her perceived problem, she remembers she needs to buy something. Just then, a cute voice comes from behind. It's the piano key. She excitedly crouches down, opens her arms to hug it, and wants to take it to Tauda. Tauda appears just in time and picks up the child. He warns Xiao Chao to be careful, as it's the angel of happiness in her hands. As containers for the piano keys, they aren't affected by them. Looking at the struggling angel of happiness in his hands, he asks if it came here seeking death. On the other side, the angels see the angel of happiness in death's hands and panic instantly, worried it might be killed. But this was the angel of happiness's own request to go there. It wanted to see if Xiao Chao could treat angels and death fairly. Goad thinks these angels are a bit foolish. In the scene, the angel of happiness kicks death. Its action shocks the other angels, including Goad. The angel of happiness kicks right at Tauda's wound. Angered, he lifts it up. It's still shouting, ready to fight. It instantly launches an attack. Goad worries they'll notice Death's weakened power and decides to act preemptively. He states that if they really harm Tauda, he'll make the angels perish in this sea of light clouds. Meanwhile, Tauda protects the girl in his arms. Seeing her trembling body, he tells her not to be afraid, that he'll protect her. Xiao Chao isn't actually scared. Her heart is just beating uncontrollably. Despite the commotion they've caused, other people seem not to have noticed. Tauda tells her not to summon the piano key and starts to attack. Watching the honey flying chaotically in the sky, he really wants to give it a beating. Xiao Chao wants to help him, but doesn't know what to do. She's also worried about his wound, wondering how it is after being kicked. Tauda notices her emotions and soothingly pats her head. He tells her not to worry, as she can't control the piano key's power yet. But Xiao Chao really wants to help him and doesn't want to always be protected. Tauda interrupts her wild thoughts and asks if the scene before them is her creation. Xiao Chao looks over curiously and is surprised to see the troublesome child being scolded by his parents. She covers her mouth to avoid crying out loud and disturbing the scene. She misses them. She cries and apologizes, saying it wasn't intentional. She wipes her tears and prepares to retrieve the piano key. Tauda silently watches her from behind, noticing she's become stronger. Then, the two approach Honey, who's being spanked. Xiao Chao crouches down and softly calls for the piano key. Tauda quickly grabs the floating key. He looks at the parents before him. Though he knows it's an illusion, he still wants time to linger a bit longer. Suddenly, the father starts speaking, voicing all of Xiao Chao's inner complaints about death. This embarrasses him, and he quickly tries to think of compliments he's had for Death. Death doesn't believe it. However, the mother's next words once again contradict Xiao Chao. He hurriedly exposes his forehead, asking Lord Tao to put the piano key back in. He thinks this must be the danger Miko mentioned earlier. As the key is inserted, the parents fade away. In the space, his parents are forever in his heart, always accompanying and protecting him. They are his guardian deities. Tauda gently watches him, and after he calms down, wipes away the tears from the corner of his eye. Seeing Honey wake up, Tauda immediately releases his hold. Xiao Chao worries he might fall to the ground. Unexpectedly, he lands steadily. Honey tries to charm Death into letting him go back, but Death coldly refuses. To survive, he wants to befriend Death, offering to give him lots of happiness. Tauda looks at Xiao Chao beside him, feeling he already has plenty of happiness. He doesn't need more. They return home. Xiao Chao sees his brother on the balcony, unsure why he's there. Without much thought, he goes to play with Honey. Gode tells Tauda that the angels have accepted Xiao Chao as the intermediary between Death and angels. Tauda slams his palm against the wall. The angels know Xiao Chao is on their side, so why choose him? Gode thinks he's overthinking. He was never on anyone's side. It all depends on his thoughts. Unsure what Gode is thinking, he decides not to go and lifts his second brother's shirt, wanting his eldest brother to see his wound. But he's pushed away and told to come along. He'll protect Xiao Chao when the time comes. The younger brother gets jealous and asks the cliché copyright question. If they both fell into a river and he could only save one, who would he save? Tauda thinks he's sick and doesn't want to entertain him. But seeing Gode continue to fuss, he understands he's jealous. The still raging Gode suddenly realizes why Des isn't coming to manage him. What's he doing now? Tauda has figured out his brother's routine. Because he exercised too much yesterday, he's still sleeping. They should take this opportunity to get the piano sword from the angel's hands during this time. Miko looks at Des's empty heart, wondering how to compose music for it. Des' consciousness becomes interested in what's in his hat and asks about it. Miko evades the question, afraid to make eye contact. Death directly controls him and takes out what's in his hat. It turns out to be fragments of the love angel. Death's consciousness pinches the love angel, forcefully waking him up. The love angel wakes to find himself in Death's hands. Angry, he bites Death's hand and urges Miko to leave quickly. Miko pries at Death's fingers, also telling him to go. Death finds their intimacy disgusting. He moves Luff away and tells Miko that if he can write the music of Death, he'll return Luff to him. Miko tells him there's nothing here. He can't write it. Death tells him his heart contains everything. If he still can't write it, it's because he's incapable. Tao holds a small key that Xiao Chao gave him earlier. He doesn't know when to return it. Just as he thinks about asking him later, Xiao Chao comes looking for him. He casually puts the key in a drawer, deciding to ask him next time. Xiao Chao enters and asks if he needed something. They're going to attend the Angel's banquet. He specially ordered clothes for Xiao Chao and wants him to try them on. However, Xiao Chao is curious why he has women's clothing. Tauda picks up a dress and tries desperately to hint at him, but Xiao Chao is lost in his own thoughts and doesn't notice his actions. He shifts the blame to his brother. It was Des who kidnapped Miko, intending to exchange him for the piano keys held by the angels. Seeing Xiao Chao about to curse, he quickly stops him, telling him not to let Des find out. He explains the angels and Death's plan to him. They need a trustworthy third party, and they all approve of him. Xiao Chao doesn't understand why it's him again. Do they only know him? Hearing his arrangement, Xiao Chao feels helpless. One is his lifesaver, and the other can't be ignored. He can only compromise. After everything is arranged, Tao picks up the clothes from earlier and asks him to change. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chao is quicker, grabbing the chosen clothes and running off. He tells Gode to go to the banquet first and check the piano keys prepared by the angels. As if remembering something, the leader prepares to leave. Gode and the others decide to wear masks as a show of sincerity. Seeing Xiao Chao enter in his new clothes, Tao compliments him, saying he looks good in anything. His praise makes Xiao Chao a bit flustered. Before leaving, he asks Xiao Chao to promise 3 things. First, never look into the light angel's eyes. Second, don't rashly help death. He'll be safe that way. Third, don't leave his sight. After he's memorized everything, he asks him to close his eyes, hold his breath, and then embraces him, taking him to heaven. They arrive in heaven. Tao sees Xiao Chao suddenly dazed and comforts him, telling him not to be afraid. In someone else's territory, he mocks them for being stupid. Xiao Chao tells him to be polite. At this moment, 2 angels appear in the clouds, the truth angel and the mad angel. To ensure the authenticity of this transaction, the truth angel will announce the rules. After he announces them, the Book of Truth records his oath. Then he asks Death to place his hand on the Book of Truth. If he breaks the oath, every word of it will echo in his ears until death. Xiao Chao notices a loophole and immediately grabs Tao's hand, asking the Truth Angel to write that they can return safely. After the Truth Angel re-announces the oath, Tao places his hand on the Book of Truth. The contract is established. After signing the contract, they immediately get to the point and start retrieving the piano keys. The first one is surprisingly the Slaughter Angel. Worried about Tao's archenemy, Xiao Chao immediately stands in front of him, asking the angel to choose another. The Truth Angel reminds him that if Tao refuses, the consequences will be severe. He tells Xiao Chao not to worry, as there's another death here, so they won't dare to misbehave. Nearby, Gode suddenly notices something unusual. His shadow has disappeared. It turns out that under the light angel's illumination, all shadows vanish. Gode's power is shadow. Without a shadow, he's useless. He can't protect his brother anymore. Xiao Chao is still worried and grabs Tao's arm. He pats Xiao Chao's head, asking him to trust Gode once. Then, he walks towards the Slaughter Angel. The Slaughter Angel watches Tao approach, secretly rejoicing. Death has fallen into the trap. He's waiting for him to walk into the net. As soon as Tao gets close, he'll kill him. The Slaughter Angel's thoughts are pleasant, but the truth is often cruel. In the end, it's he himself who gets hurt. The other angels don't understand. They had arranged everything, so why did this happen? Then, the Light Angel realizes. Death and his team tampered with the gloves. They're fake. Tao turns back to look at Xiao Chao, telling him he's fine. Xiao Chao can't control himself and runs over to hug him. When he calms down and realizes what he's done, he quickly steps back and cheers him on. Tao holds Xiao Chao in his arms, telling him to keep his voice down. He summons the piano keys one by one, reminding him to be quiet. He puts the real capture gloves in his right pocket. He watches Xiao Chao put on the gloves. He encourages him to catch a piano key for 10,000 yuan. This instantly makes him forget his fear and fills him with fighting spirit. The angels won't let death succeed so easily. The Light Angel asks the Order Angel to open the channels between the 2 universes and send Gode back to his homeland. This way, if Tao wants to save his brother, he'll have to release the bound angels. Suddenly, Tao hears his brother's cry for help. Light has erased his brother's shadow and is about to send him back home. Hearing his brother's chirping pleas for help, he finds it noisy and tells him to figure it out himself. Then he tells Xiao Chao to continue. This angers his brother, who starts shouting loudly. Deaths are all cunning fellows, yet they trust each other. Before coming to heaven for the banquet, the second brother gave Gode the most important task. He told him to get close to the Light Angel and pull him out of the channel when he's not paying attention. Every time the channel opens, the light they see is the Light Angel. As long as he stays in his homeland or in the channel, Des can bring them back. This time, while Des doesn't know, they'll close the channel forever together. The angels watch everything Death does, but are powerless to stop it. Some start to sob. They can't go home anymore. Xiao Chao, who is summoning the piano keys, also notices something unusual. However, Tauda says nothing. He can only continue summoning the keys. Xiao Chao sees him looking towards the direction where the fragments are floating, his eyes full of sadness. Why is this suddenly? He hears a conversation between the angels and Death. They can't go back. Death tells the angels to adapt to life on Earth. They're going to stay. God looks at the light angel in confusion. Although the light angel is dead, his body hasn't dispersed into the world. This anomaly is also noticed by the slaughter angel. He tells the other angels that the kiss of death has failed. Being discovered by the angels irritates Tauda. He hurriedly calls Xiao Chao back, saying they need to go home. He worriedly asks Tauda if he broke the agreement. Tauda tells him that it was the truth angel who broke it, and he's already being punished. Tauda is now worried that his older brother is about to wake up. He must not let him find out what he's done. Out loud, he mutters about going back to save Miko. Having dealt with those presumptuous angels, he calls his brother to prepare to leave. Suddenly his eyes widen, as if he's seen something terrifying. Goat also shivers. He slowly turns around, and it's actually their eldest brother. Des looks at the scene before him and asks someone to explain what's happening here. Now that Des is here, Tauda knows he can't hide it anymore. He's thinking about how to prevent his brother from taking it out on Xiao Chao. He gives his brother a half-true explanation, throwing the Book of Truth to him to look at together. However, Des is concerned about why the channel is closed. Tauda blames the angels, saying his brother only pulled down the light angel to save himself. Behind the eldest brother, the younger brother secretly gives a thumbs up for the second brother's acting. Unexpectedly, the second brother changes the topic, saying the creation piano can open a new channel. The younger brother realizes he's been used as a pawn by the second brother. The eldest brother understands why he's doing this. It's to get him to help them find the piano keys. Tauda says it's not help, but leading them, including the angels. Only he has that qualification. The eldest brother doesn't speak, silently looking at Tauda. Instead, Goad beside him seems more anxious. After a long while, Des makes a move. He tells the angels that as a show of goodwill, he will now release the music angel. Afterwards, when the angels bring out the piano keys, the truth angel's punishment will be lifted. Xiao Chao, hiding behind Tauda, secretly breathes a sigh of relief. Afterwards, Miko is released. The angels are very happy. The freed Miko asks Death to return Loft to him, but he's caught by Tauda's spell, who congratulates him that his dream has come true. Death and angels are finally cooperating. Hearing this news, Miko can hardly believe it. He confirms again with the Order Angel beside him. The angel tells him they exchanged all the piano keys to get him back. The Light Angel came from the original universe for him. Now he's been shot down too. The original channel is closed. They must now cooperate with Death to open a new channel using the creation piano to return. Hearing his explanation, Miko finally understands the situation. Does this mean the angels will be at Death's mercy from now on? Tauda quietly points to the Book of Truth. Miko instantly understands. He demands that Des swear on the Book of Truth not to kill or threaten any angel before they can cooperate. Des takes the Book of Truth and declares that from now on, angels who cooperate with Death will be under his protection forever. Afterwards, Des looks at his two brothers kneeling on the ground and lectures them again about the need for unity. Tauda makes an excuse to try and return his big brother's right eye, but he's seen through. The eldest brother scolds him for being extremely selfish, destroying the channel for a girl. Goad, who was previously used as a pawn, gloats on the side. He doesn't escape his big brother's scolding either, for foolishly trying to kill an angel. Des looks at his two brothers, one smart yet naive, the other stupid and reckless. He bends down to hug them. Back home, Xiao Chao sits at his desk rushing to finish his homework. Suddenly, he hears the door open. He opens his room door and runs out. He sees Tauda return covered in wounds. He quickly goes to help treat him. Surprisingly, he can really heal again. Looking at the girl helping him heal, he feels it was all worth it. Suddenly, Tauda hears someone calling. He begs Death to take him away. He asks Xiao Chao if he heard someone calling him, but he didn't hear anything. Then, the person's call comes through again, confirming that he can hear Earth people's prayers now. Because the channel was destroyed, he lost connection with the original universe. He has become the Death of this world. Since he can hear human prayers, he must go. This is his duty as Death. He tells him about the important matter from before. It was something he had given him previously, but he has no memory of it now. Tauda tells him he'll explain when he returns and then disappears. Tauda arrives at the hospital. Looking at the person on the hospital bed, he approaches and uses the kiss of death to take the patient away from this world. Xiao Chao, who got the key, remembers finding a locked notebook before. He didn't expect it to actually open. He opens the notebook. Surprisingly, it contains his own notes. It starts from 7 years ago. He quickly flips through. The last page was written 2 years ago. What could have happened to make him hate Tauda? He quickly searches for answers. Tauda returns and sees him sitting at the desk, thinking he's doing homework. He plans to take a shower first before saying goodnight, thus missing the best opportunity to explain. The diary records that he was responsible for the death of Xiao Chao's parents. He rushes over to say goodnight to Xiao Chao, but sees his face streaked with tears. He anxiously asks what's wrong. He sees that the previous key has opened a lock. Before he can understand what happened to Xiao Chao, he is suddenly kissed on the forehead by Des and falls asleep. Tauda pushes him away, worriedly holding Xiao Chao in his arms. The other tells him he only erased his memory of reading the diary. The diary might contain something unfavorable to him. Des picks up the diary and tells him it records that he was responsible for the death of the girl's parents. He hates you. Tauda should thank him for deleting this memory. Otherwise, he would never trust Tauda again. He asks Des not to easily delete his memories anymore. Memories are almost everything to him. He tries to take Xiao Chao's notebook from Des' hand, but Des avoids him. He has no choice but to pick up his backpack and send him back. Before leaving, he begs Des not to mind Xiao Chao's existence. He is deaf. He will only appear to kill him when he's dying. That's all he can do. The next day, Xiao Chao wakes up in his bed at home. He sighs. His behavior amuses Tauda by the window. He shyly greets him, knowing his sigh must have been heard. At this moment, Tauda asks him 2 questions. One is who he is. The other is what was the last thing he said last night. Although he's curious why he's asking, he answers both questions. It seems only the memory of the diary was deleted. He prepares to leave. Xiao Chao stops him, asking if he's not practicing the piano. The sooner they find the piano keys, the sooner they can go back. The next second, he looks at Xiao Chao pitifully, asking if he's trying to drive him away. Although he knows he's pretending, he still has to explain. He actually saw his sad expression when the channel closed. He turns around, cups his face, and intimately tells him that he actually wants to stay by his side until death. He's flustered but doubts if he's overthinking. He starts to speak ambiguously, agreeing to meet tomorrow. In this world, Death and angels have reached an agreement to search for piano keys together. The music angel will compose a love melody. However, the composition is not yet complete. The story continues. The contract between Death and angels is established. From now on, angels who cooperate with Death will be under Death's protection forever. The Order Angel asks about angels who don't cooperate. Death smirks at him, telling him to figure it out himself. Miko asks Death to release Loth. Death tells him it's impossible, he's already dead. If he wants to see him, he should quickly find the piano keys. Then he tells other angels to give him the keys. At night, Death checks on his brother and finds the girl has moved into his brother's house. He's very displeased. Then he discovers she can help heal his brother, so he holds back his anger. Angrily, he throws the surveillance screen aside and prepares to sleep. As Death sleeps, his consciousness enters his inner world. Upon entering, he sees the love angel Loth. He asks Loth what love is. Loth doesn't answer immediately, but first flies over to thank him for releasing Miko. Then he explains that love isn't a magazine, it's more like a halo. He uses magic to create images of Xiao Chao and Tauda, explaining that the whole world shines because of the existence of loved ones. Afterwards, Loth apologizes to Death, saying he shouldn't have cursed him to never find love. He made a curse against his own nature and is now being punished for it. Death dismisses this, saying the angel's powers are insignificant before him. A group of angels are gathered, discussing the newly created Death. They're curious about him and decide to meet him. Death looks at the group of angels discussing him and thinks they're foolish.